New Zealand is a country that seemingly has it all. In this series, I'll be taking you along every step of the way as we explore the best this country has to offer via road, rail, trail, bike, bus and boat. I'll be explaining its geology, wildlife and history, reviewing its many attractions and offering tips and advice for your own travels to this enchanting land. In this episode, we spend several days exploring Rotorua's unique natural environment. We hunt waterfalls and take a lantern-lit eco-walk through the treetops of giant redwoods before discovering the geology behind the surreal landscape of the Wai-O-Tapu Scenic Reserve. We've just arrived at our Airbnb just north of Rotorua near the lake, and it's this gorgeous farmhouse with bees in the yard, alpacas next door and fruit and veg growing in the back garden. This evening we're heading off to explore redwoods down in Rotorua. But first of all, we've headed north around Rotorua Lake to look at some waterfalls. This one is called Okere Falls. And this is Trout Falls, just a couple of minutes more up the road. And if you're into rafting or kayaking down rapids, then this is a place to come to do that. We're now at the Redwoods Treewalk, which, as you might have guessed, is a treetop eco-walk through the giant California redwoods here in the south of Rotorua. It takes about 40 minutes to walk 700 metres over 28 bridges and platforms. The reason we've come here at dusk is because as the sun sets, loads of lamps and lasers and lights come on and light up the whole forest, all designed by a lighting designer called David Truebridge. Now they've made this tree walk as sustainable as possible. The actual bridges and platforms hang off the redwoods via a sling system that doesn't damage the trees, and the lanterns you see all around us are made from sustainable woods. I can't imagine the footage is very good right now because it's so dark, but now that it is dark and all the lights are on, it's really starting to look magical. Today we're going to explore some of the geothermal activity around Rotorua, and our first stop is just off at some mud pools. The main attraction we've come to see today is the Waiotapu Geothermal Wonderland, which is a natural park full of multicoloured geothermal pools and geysers that are all made from geothermal activity and the composition of the rocks in this area. The Wai-O-Tapu Scenic Reserve is one of the largest areas of surface thermal activity in this region. It was used for hundreds of years by the Maori for cooking, cleaning, bathing, but now it's protected by the Wai-O-Tapu Geothermal Wonderland Park, who protect it and preserve it for future generations to enjoy. All the craters in this area were formed from acidic steam rising up from under the earth, eroding away at the rock, and then it collapsing into a crater. And the colours you see on the edges of the crater is all different minerals. So as water comes up and overflows from underground and then evaporates in the heat, it leaves behind the mineral deposits, and that's what makes all the brightly coloured pools you see here. And what's really interesting is that day by day they change the colours and their appearance depending on the composition of the water and the sunlight. This is probably the most famous pool here. It's the largest hot spring in New Zealand, named the Champagne Pool after the carbon dioxide bubbles that collect on the surface, and it's got this brilliant bright orange and green colour to the rocks and water. So once you reach the Champagne Pool, you can choose whether you want to head straight back around to the exit or carry on further loops to see other geothermal activity. Just the basic route to the Champagne Pool takes about 45 minutes, then you can do a further loop of 60 minutes or an even further one which takes 90 minutes. This is just a really surreal park because all the way through as you're walking along there's just little streams that are the wrong colour, like a bright blue or a bright green. One other constant here as you're exploring the park is that rotten egg smell of sulphur. This is the furthest point in the park, the end of the 90-minute loop at the Green Lake here, and the water running out of the park into the lake is warm, which enables algae to grow and gives it the green colour and name. And then right at the end of the lake, in between the two trees on either side, on a clear day you can just about see Mount Ruapehu, which is the tallest mountain in North New Zealand. So we're now walking back to the beginning of the park and catching a few of the things we missed on the way out that are on other loops. But this has been a really interesting experience. Very unique, very surreal as they describe it. And I think it's because you see all these vivid colours and strange rock pools and formations, and they're not things you usually see in nature, but they're naturally formed, they're not man-made, and that makes it very interesting. Well, it seems the best was saved to last, because just towards the end of the park trail is this very bright lime green pool, and this is created by minerals in the water refracting the sun. So the brighter the sun, the brighter the colour in the pool. And right now it is this lurid green. It's really hard to describe, and I don't know how well it will come across on camera, but it really is the wow factor here. It's one of the strangest and most impressive pools in this park, in what is a strange and really impressive, unique experience. We've now driven back up to Rotorua just to have a little explore around the town here and look at the lakeside. You know, it's odd. Everywhere we've really visited in New Zealand hasn't seemed that busy, despite it being the height of their summer, which should really be their busiest period. And here in Rotorua it's the same. All the shops are closed and the high street's pretty dead. Saying that, the relative calm is probably to do with the more laid-back lifestyle here. It's a Saturday and it's relatively late, so I can't imagine I would want to keep a store open if there's sun and there's a beautiful lake right next door. We've been craving an Indian for days, so we went and got a very good Indian at the Eat Streets here, which is a cool place where you can get all kind of different cuisine in one street.
Now that's a bit later in the evening, it's certainly got a lot busier and there's a bit more of an atmosphere, so it's quite a cool place to come.
Rotorua allowed us to experience some of the most unique and vibrant examples of New Zealand's natural environment, yet we still only covered a few of its highlights. Not only is the area a concentration of geothermal activity, but Maori culture too, meaning there is numerous cultural experiences on top of the many natural ones. Thrill seekers can find activities from the powerful rivers up to the treetops, whilst those in need of relaxation can chill out on the lakes or visit one of the Polynesian spas. However, our journey will next take us south towards the epic landscape of Tongariro National Park.